You know how Crazy Horse speaks about ancestors? And so we've got the ancestors from past lives, and then we also have our DNA, bloodline ancestry in this life. Does the bloodline ancestry really mean anything?
It does, but you've introduced Crazy Horse into the topic, and the difference there is that related to the American Indian culture, or as they called it, the Indian culture. America's followed the Indian culture. Their way of living was to understood what their ancestors did, what they'd learned, what they had to teach, and better it. And they wanted to be better and in some way add to their tribe, to the culture of their tribe in some way. So they were born into that for a reason, for a purpose, to learn of those really beautiful cultural issues, and they're quite an advanced society. In fact, they're very advanced, and much more advanced, I would argue, than we are today. And that was good, but it's broadened. So when we introduce today, we don't have that one beautiful culture where we're trying to learn off our ancestors. Pretty much we're saying you're forgotten and everything's in the now, and I'm great, and great equals rich and powerful. So it's changed. Bloodline is critical to karma because it always impacts upon our karma. So we come into a genealogy which is going to make our karma achievable or more difficult. Where families come into it to some degree is that we're born into a family that's going to make our attempts to overcome our karma, so to learn what we're meant to, easier or harder. So therefore, when it's harder, we have to overcome so much of what we're taught and put to us as which is right. It might have a basis of right for the parents and for the broader family, but it doesn't for you as an individual relative or apropos to your own karma. So you have to then learn to overcome that and to discard the majority of that to get on your own pathway. And then on the flip side, for those whose karma is aided by their family development, well then usually that's because more is expected of them in this life. They've got a much higher purpose, not always, but oftentimes, and it's going to help them. Now the problem with all of this is that there's a massive disparity between those whose families help them and those whose families hinder them. Approximately 96% of people come to Earth with a family that's going to hinder you. Only about 4% have a family where that bloodline is actually going to help you, which will therefore include the culture that you're coming into.
And does the help mean help you overcome your karma or help you reach your purpose?
Both. See, let's go into the negative first, that 96%. 96% of people are cursing what their parents have taught them and what they've given them, rather than thanking them, because even though it hasn't helped them, at least they've known what to change. I don't like that, I don't accept that, and I need to change that. They get lost oftentimes through guilt about changing that. And guilt hangs up there somewhere through everyone, not just people of a certain religion, saying we ought not move against that family culture, we ought not do those things. But in order to be who we are, to overcome our karma, therefore to have a chance of being on purpose, we have to decide what's right for us. And once people make the choice and say, that's not working, I'm going to pull away from that, not many have the strength to be alone and to be individual, so they can fall into all sorts of traps from there and usually become quite disenfranchised and disenchanted in life. And that makes all of this more complex again. The 4%, they haven't got any excuses. They really have to achieve.
The DNA and the traits of family to help, that's still in the 96%, not the 4%.
That's less important. So we're talking about the physicality. If I was going to be a concreter, I wouldn't like a body like I've got. I'd want to be short and stocky so that I'd have less back damage and my legs would work better to do whatever one does with concrete, for example. So all of those things come into it, what sports we're meant to play, how we're meant to appear, the appealability of that to a future partner, all of those things are relevant. And it's all part of what we have to overcome or use to its best advantage, one of the two. So it is relevant, but I would say less relevant than the emotions and which block what we know. So the essence of this is we come into life knowing stuff from past lives, and that's embedded into the spirit. then we have all of these forces, oftentimes primarily family, saying that's not right. And that's the biggest part to overcome.
And so this is why we should look at what's happened in childhood to overcome.
Just thank your parents for getting it so wrong, so that you know what's right for you.
The parents getting it wrong, they were nearly meant to get it wrong.
Of course they were.
Each generation is meant to learn and improve from the previous one. I'm not sure that's happening right now, so I don't think we're on track at the moment, but that's what's meant to happen. So children are meant to learn from parents, and they're meant to be that little bit more advanced. And their children are meant to be that little bit more advanced. Parents have such an impact on children. You know, one of the things I've learned from my own daughter profoundly, and still can't get it right, I didn't have a mother to grow up with. I had no influence of a mother. So I didn't have a mother to please. I have no idea what that's like, to have a mum to please. But my daughter would say to me, "Mum, what do you think of so-and-so? What do you think of blah, blah, blah? Does this suit me, or does whatever, whatever, whatever?" And I would say, "You decide. Your decision is as good as mine. You decide." And one day she got fed up with this, and she said to me, "Mum, I know you didn't have a mum, but daughters do like to please their mum." And I remember just stopping and thinking, wow, it's that powerful. It comes along with us, it's that powerful. And she's right, I don't have that desire. I've never had it, don't know what it's like. So I felt quite comfortable in letting her, make decisions about certain things, when she was really saying, "I want to please my mum, and I want my mum to be really excited and told me that I've done a good thing." So even at my age, I'm still learning that. It's not possible to get it right as a parent. We're just programmed to get it wrong.
Pretty much.
So if someone has lost a parent, that's a part of their karma and was always meant.
Of course it is, yes. Yes, or it might be the child's karma, it might be the parent who's passed or been taken away. It might be their karma.
What percentage of parents do you think don't realise that they might have a child who's there for their karma?
Almost all. Parents generally don't see their child as teaching them. What you just heard from Pearl's rare. My daughter's taught me this, and she cites an example. Not that many parents are able to do that because they're seeing themselves in a position of authority.
At the same time, you'll hear a parent often say, "Oh, my child's an old soul. They've been here before. They've been here before." But they often don't take it any further than that. I've said to people in my clinic who've come in and said, "My child's been here before, so what do you think they're teaching you?" "Oh, I haven't thought about that." They just seem to recognize an awareness in the child, but it doesn't apply to teaching them anything as a parent.
For more spiritual knowledge, remember to subscribe. If any of the information Ian and Pearl spoke about piqued your interest, make sure you like and comment on this video below. There's so much knowledge and advice being delivered from Spirit to you via this channel. Healing your physical and emotional pains will guide you towards a more loving and meaningful life. This is the Spiritual Renaissance.